it's kind of, oh, all right, here we go. Now, here we go, just so everybody knows. All right, guys. So basically, MJ and I kind of got talked to by Pace and their group. So we're kind of going to be hopefully getting into communications with them. And just so everybody knows, this group here, guys, we're just doing a discussion group. We just are trying to become or make individuals more aware of the processes, things that they have to look out for, and things like that. MJ and I aren't worried because we know that truly at our hearts, and Giselle and Erica, we know that we're trying to give back to the community. So whatever stepping stones or milestones that we have to step on or step with someone else to do, we're happy to walk that line. So, but I didn't want to start this podcast off negative, or this group off negative today. So my brother, just so everybody knows, I have 3 nieces right now who are women's national champions. And my brother made a post about them. And so on the post, and I'm only saying this because, again, I didn't want to start this podcast off negatively. So this is what I wrote on the post. I said, Manuel Manor, coming soon to a YouTube TikTok near you. Hashtag Power Grace Influencer, inspired to dream. Come take a walk in the house and end the life of 3 women national champions. Welcome to Manuel Manor. And so I wrote that to my brother, and immediately my dad, and many of you guys know I was adopted through a family here, and my adopted dad, he called, and you know, everybody's always talking and communicating. And so I called my brother, and my brother's like, bro, like, just the way that you said that to me, like, I feel like I can do it. And I said, why not? Like, in all of this world and all of this false reality that we have in front of us, like, why not go and start a positive movement and move forward? You know, why not go and do it? And so just by sparking an idea, you guys, like, this is how I want your brains to operate on a daily basis. Like, when you're out here trying to get your financial freedom, I want you guys to be thinking, like, how can I make something better? Or every person that I come into contact with, how can I make a lasting contact with them? Like, so when I leave a situation, how do I know that Josh or Natalia, you guys will know, like, oh, you know what? I wonder if Dayton could help me bring value here, or I wonder if Elisha could bring value here, or like, if we can come with that type of mindset and that always trying to help and give and give and give and truly become go-givers in this community. Like, I don't care how many lawyers can get involved. I don't care what, you know, what obstacles is in front of us, guys. We can press forward because at its purest form, we are trying to give back. So with that, you guys, at this time, I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to lock arms with every single Gator in this room. I'm going to imagine taking one more step of financial freedom on this great path that we all get to share in this journey. I'm going to thank Natalia for stepping out and bringing value to our group and talking about the things that she's going to talk about. You guys, thank you for being here on this journey with us here at Big Picture Gators. I look forward to the future with every one of you guys. And without all of that being said, Giselle, let's grow. Growing Gators is a lifestyle, guys. Let's grow.
Let's grow. Thank you, Darren. Yeah, so we are very delighted to have Natalia Oleg Grice here with us today. She is an attorney in Florida, and she's the sole owner and one of the founding partners of LCO Law in Florida. She has 13 years of experience with business planning and estate planning.
Let's go.
Come here to share with us a little bit more about asset protection. How can we secure our money, secure other people's money? And yeah, like, she's here, so she's gonna let us pick her brain. So come with a question, guys. And thank you, Natalia.
Yeah. Hey, guys, before Natalia hops on, please, if you guys want to take notes, now's the time. Guys, let's use this. This is a lot of value coming here. And if you guys don't understand, like, it's all about protection. It's all about protection. And there's so many different layers that you guys got to go through. And this is why we are here bringing this value. Natalia, thank you so much. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
All right. Well, hi everyone, and thank you for inviting me to have share a little bit of my knowledge with you and help you all really learn how to protect your assets. And protecting your assets, I want to start off, isn't just about, doing your business through an entity. That's part of it, but it is about really understanding how every bit of your behaviors, your communications, your team that you build with you all impact the type of risk, the level of risk, and how that risk is going to impact your business and your personal life. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I think I'm going to address this as like a pyramid. If you were to think of asset protection as like a pyramid, right? At the very top, it's like, what's the least amount of asset protection that you could do, behaviors, and then walk downward from there and kind of think about the bigger picture. As your risk pool and asset pool becomes larger, then you need to think about more of like the base things. So at the very top of asset protection, right? If you're a real estate investor, if you've got a business, you've got to really think about, how am I going to shift some of this risk onto a third party that isn't just me, right? Because we don't want to self-insure. It's the last thing we want to do, right? So as part of like your investments, if you hold any real estate, you definitely want to make sure that your real estate is properly insured. But if you have a business, you also want to make sure that you are adding that level of coverage for your business, right? Especially if you've got a team, or if you're growing so that you have a team, because the mistakes of your team can be really, really costly for you and for the viability of your business. So at the very top of that little pyramid, you could think of like, how do I shift this burden so it's out of my pockets and put it onto an entity that is designed to undertake this, right? So look at your insurance, think about what can you afford right now that'll minimize the risk of you completely losing all of your investments by you or somebody in your team making a mistake, right? Because very few people actually go out there to intentionally make very costly mistakes. So that's a little top part. The other part of that top of the pyramid is really thinking about you personally, right? Like, you run your business, you know your business inside and out, you know your practices, like, in the morning, I wake up and then I do this, and this is my next step, and this is my next step in the business. But if something happens to you and you don't have this set up so that somebody else can step in for you and run your business and sign those contracts and sign those releases and go to the bank and get that, execute the note on behalf of you. But if you don't have anybody that can do that for you, you are in dire straits. So I had a real estate investor friend of mine who is really, really, really seasoned in the market. I'd say his accumulated wealth from being in the business for about 8 years or so is well over 30 million. And he and his wife and his mom were going to go pick up the kids from school for this past Mother's Day weekend. They got destroyed in a car accident. So his mother died. His wife is in the hospital right now in intensive care with traumatic brain injury. And he is trying to figure out what the hell to do. And he's, mid-40s. This isn't an end life thing that we keep putting off. So you really do have to think about, who do you have that could step up and help you do the things that need to be done, not just in your business, but personal life too. His wife is his business partner. She was a big part of the strategic development of like the conversations, the deal making, and now she's not there. So he's having to deal with taking care of his kids, figuring out how to take care of his wife, grieving for his mother. And despite me having talked about this, he didn't do an estate plan. So this is part of that little pyramid, right? You've got to take the time to do this, to protect not just your business, but your family too. You got to figure out, who do you trust to do these things for you in your business, to step up and have those conversations with your clients, with your vendors, with your end buyers, with your potential sellers if something goes awry. And you need to take all the process that's in your head about how you do the thing and actually write it down, because other people don't know what to do, don't know how to do it the way that you do it, unless they have a system that they can look at. They can't read your mind, and they certainly can't read your mind if you're incapacitated, and they can't do it if you're dead. So this is the top of the pyramid when it comes to asset protection, right? You've got to set it up so that somebody can do that for you, because life is unexpected. Things happen. Okay, so that's the top there, right? So let's look a little bit further down as to thinking of the liability, separating your personal liability from the behaviors and practices of your business, so that your personal assets, your bank accounts, your investments, maybe home, depending on the state that you live in, because not everyone's got the beautiful homestead protections that Florida has, right? Some states don't have that kind of protection. Your home can be subject to being claimed by a creditor. So the next step is the behaviors of your business, the way that you conduct your business needs to be separated legally by conducting your business through an entity, but really truly conducting your business through an entity. So this means I'm not just setting up an LLC and I'm doing all my business through an LLC, except that I'm using my LLC kind of like my own personal piggy bank, and I'm mingling bank accounts, and I'm using the business card for personal things. And because the moment you do that, you dissolve that separation of liability. It's a big thing. It's a big mistake. Using your personal email, right, as part of your business strategy isn't a good idea, because you're blending those two worlds. Something as simple as that. Using your personal phone number that you pay for from your account to conduct business is a way that an attorney in litigation can reach that little perimeter of the limitation of liability. It's more behavior than the structure you select itself. You can choose a corporation, you can choose to do it through land trust, you can choose to do it through an LLC, but you've got to behave in a clear way that says, this is business and this is personal life. Every communication that you have with potential sellers and buyers, you got to present yourself as an employee of the business in essence. Okay.
Right.
So that's really important in terms of that next layer of like asset protection.
Hey, guys, real quick, does anybody have any questions right now? Or is everybody kind of following along? Basically, we're kind of making a distinction between the two, whereas personal and business, and then also understanding at its extreme forms that we need to already have programs set in place for very extreme measures. So does anybody have any questions so far about what Natalia has been talking about? Nobody? Everybody's good?
I do have a question.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
For the estate planning, so even if I'm just barely starting, my business, I need to work on this like right now. It's better to do it since the beginning rather than waiting a little until I get the business moving and scaling and stuff.
Yeah, so like basic level planning, at least plan for incapacitation, okay? Have people that can make financial decisions for you and execute things on behalf of your business. And a properly done, for example, power of attorney, a broad level one, can authorize somebody to conduct things for your business. But it's got to be written into it, because with powers of attorney, it's whatever is like promulgated as the authorized activity. And if it's not there, they can't do it. So it's making sure that you think through, who do I trust? Because it's got to be somebody you trust, right? Who's financially organized, who listens to me, but also kind of like challenges me so that they, a little bit of a devil's advocate position, right? That's not just going to be like a foolish yes person when it comes to my financial decisions.
Right.
Who's got a solid head on their shoulders, who maybe understands business management. That's the kind of person that you want to put in place to be able to do those things for your business if something happens to you. Okay. You might not have the kind of assets that can be put into a trust structure to begin with. But you certainly do need to address your incapacitation, because that can be devastating. Okay.
Yeah.
And then within your business, if you have an LLC, if you have a corporation, authorizing people there, other people that can step in if you pass away.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be super complex from the beginning, but you do need to address things from the beginning so that your business isn't left in a void. Because the thing is, the moment you pass away, it's not just your assets that go into probate, your business ends up in probate, right? The moment you become incapacitated, your business ends up in probate. And the worst part is it's all public, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just like, oh, now like my business partner or my family or whomever is going to get stuck litigating for a long time to see what's going on here. The entire world can see what I own, how I ran my business, the debts of my business, all that becomes public if you don't do it the right way. And that's part of like failed asset protection, because what happens when your assets and the value of it and the contents of it become public?
Well, then
You
the
attract
IRS
more
gets
creditors. Yeah, they're not just the IRS, right? Because they're the most powerful creditor in the United States, next to your ex-spouses. But certainly other people that might go, oh, you know what? Like, I'm going to say that I didn't like how this was done because now I know that they have deep pockets. And what you have to consider is with statutes of limitation. So a statute of limitation says how long somebody can file a lawsuit for what they perceive to be a wrong, a breach of contract, an injury, that kind of thing. They're usually 4 or 5 years. So for 4 or 5 years from when something happened, you can get sued for it. So you have to think about that, right? The activities that you're doing now, the activities that you're doing now can affect you and your
Hey,
business.
Robin, is your hand up
in
for
the
a
future.
question?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Sorry, I
right.
missed it. Go ahead.
Awesome.
No, that's okay. I just didn't want to jump in. So Natalia, my understanding from what you're saying is if I own my business, say with my husband, we still need to do something like that, some kind of trust.
Yes, I still recommend
Okay.
it. So your business itself needs to have the legal agreements in place that literally let the bank know, the title company know, everybody else involved that they can act on behalf of the business, right?
Okay.
But that somebody else can step in too.
Okay. And is that the same kind of trust? I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Is that the same kind of trust that we would have set up, say by an estate attorney or?
So it's not the same thing, right? Because
Okay.
entities have governing documents, right? You've got operating agreements for LLCs, you've got bylaws for corporations. Those are the governing documents that say this person's authorized and appointed. You've got corporate resolutions to sign on behalf of my entity, to close on behalf of my, right? Even if you're on vacation, you should have somebody designated that can do that for you.
Yes.
So that's the business side of it. The personal side of it is for all of my personal things, which includes my share ownership in my business, right? My stock, because it's all stock, right?
Right.
This person can take action so that if like I'm incapacitated and my business is worth a good amount of money because I've worked my butt off for it, but I need serious care, then that person can take action to sell my business so that I can be taken care of.
Okay.
Right? So they work hand in hand in that way. Does that kind of help you identify what
Yeah, I guess I'm still a little confused as to where do we go to set that up? Like, who do we see for that? Is that an insurance person? Is that an estate attorney? Like, who do we?
So you would go to an estate planning attorney.
Okay.
Okay. For the personal trust setup and all of that.
Right.
Now, because you're all business owners, you should go to an estate planning attorney that also does business formation, business succession, that understands how they work hand in hand for you business owners. Okay.
Okay.
Because if you go for somebody that maybe focuses on elder law, they're not really going to understand the needs of your business.
Right.
They're going to understand the complexity of what your governing documents should say and authorize.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have somebody that's got that dual expertise.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Robin, by the way, I like how your thing says Gator 20K ready. That's so
Oh.
powerful. I I was like,
I forgot that was even on there.
Look at her talk to me. And it's like, I got 20K ready to go.
I think that's from one of Pace's Zooms, you know, he told us to list ourselves and like what we were, what our avatar was and everything. And so I just never took it off.
No, that's fine. I thought it was a strong power move. Maybe everybody do that when they come back. I don't know.
All right, so if I can like move on to the next stages, because I want you guys to get like as much of it from my little appearance here. So if we say next, right, first you push liability to some third party entity, that's insurance, got your estate plan in place, and somebody that can actually step up for your business. Then you got the limitation of liability, which is like entities. Now you're talking about like, how do I make myself less obviously a deep pocket as I grow in my business, right? How do I repel potential creditors and have a little bit of more of that secrecy as I become a deeper pocket in the industry? So now we're talking about the use of structure entities, right? The layering. You don't want to engage in layering before you have a need, because I mean, the deeper you go down the pyramid, the more management you need, the more accounting that's involved, right? And you need to have the cash flow to back that up.
You know, guys, I will say this though, as you guys are moving forward, and it will move very quickly, you will notice that you will find your guys selves talking to lawyers a lot more often than what you thought that you would do, because you know, eventually it's not just going to be EMDs, guys. It's not just going to be bridge loans, and it's not just going to be gap funding. It's just not. There's so much more to these, you know, these different little treasure troves that we get to go into. So just be mindful. Like, we have to set these things already in place. We have to already be speaking to lawyers on how we can protect ourselves, because listen, the more money you make, the more people are going to try to take that money from you. That's why it is always like MJ and I harp all day long about protection. This year is just one more form of it, because it's something that we've already encountered just in the brief time that we've been doing this, you guys. And that's why for us, we know that this brings value, because it is something that you will need, because unless you're not applying the 1% rule, unless you're not trying to become an action taker, then you probably won't need this. But if you are trying truly to step out, take a Gator step into financial freedom, guys, then these are the small little steps that you need to take to protect your assets as you grow. Because I'm assuming that you're not going to be done once you hit like a 10 million margin, which I'm sure once you find out how to protect, that will be almost like a very easy thing for you to do. The hardest thing to do is by going through these steps right here and then figuring out how to protect yourself, now how to protect other people, now how to protect all these assets that you have acquired. So Here we are.
And I like that you brought that up, because you really should like map out your asset protection with your end goal in mind, right? All of us have different end goals as to what we want to achieve, right? Some people are like, I'm not stopping till I get to $1 billion. And I know investors that are at the $1 billion level. Some of us are like, you know what? I just want I want 3 million. I want to be able to do this, but I don't want my time to be consumed by so-and-so. It's up to you to decide, but you need to start with the end in mind and then work your way backwards to determine, based on that goal, what kind of asset protection am I really going to be looking at for the full picture, right? So like I was saying, that next layer level is the structure to where now you have different entities that might manage some of like your sub investment strategies, right? So you might start out with like the Gator financing, EMDs, that kind of thing. You might have a little bit of wholesaling involved. You might be then moving on to sub 2. You might become a sub 2 lender, right? As you go into these different things, each one of those is a different type of business, okay? Wholesaling, very different than long-term holding of real estate assets for rentals, which are very different than the fix and flips and so forth, right? So these different types of businesses should be isolated from each other because they bring different types of risks. So that's when we're talking about now having different entities for different types of businesses and maybe a holding company that manages them. And that's when we're moving on to, okay, where should these holding companies be sourced or located so that it's not so public as to who owns all these things, right? We don't want that visibility, not because we're not doing things correctly. You're all here and you're all very ethically minded. And so you want to do things correctly, right? If you do things correctly in your business, people keep coming back to you for more business, obviously. So it's more about, how do I just be cognizant of the fact that as I accumulate more assets, there are potentially third parties that are going to want to file lawsuits against my business, could be fraudulent lawsuits. I mean, I see fraud all the time. I'm a real estate attorney as well, so I see this, right? So you want to know, being cognizant of this, where do I situate my holding companies so that I'm less visible as an owner and potentially attacked by these third-party fraudulent filers, right?
Yeah.
So that's where you start talking about states like Nevada, states like Wisconsin, not Wyoming, right?
Yeah, I think most of the folks here have their holding company set up in Wyoming.
Wyoming's a great
Yeah.
state right now. Why? Because it's got very low tax impact. It's a very low barrier to entry and filing. It really is quite private, right? But I want to tie in a little bit the Wyoming thing to the problem that you might face if you don't have an estate plan, right? Because now you'll own a Wyoming entity. Nobody can see it except the state of Wyoming and the registered agent. They have that information. How do you prove? How does your family prove that you own this thing if you don't have good records of it and your stock isn't owned by something other than you if you pass away, right? And I don't know if you're familiar with this, but if you own assets that are held in other states and they're not properly put into a trust, assets being like stock, okay, that can force your family to file for probate, not just where you reside, but in Wyoming as well, or in Nevada if you're structured there. So that's like double probate, triple probate if you've got to set up in another place. So you've got to be cognizant of that, right? Where I'm doing my layering, my holding company entities will impact how much litigation I'm forcing my family and business partners into if something happens to me. So they all tie in. Okay.
Yep.
So now let's look at the lower, baser level of asset protection that now has to do with creditor protection. Like, yes, when you limit liability, you're going to have some creditor protection of like your personal from your business. But now let's talk about segregating assets so that if you do get sued, creditors cannot access those things, right? So that's where we're talking about the irrevocable trust layer system. And I do want you to be aware of the realities of what it takes to protect assets from creditors, including the Internal Revenue Service, if you use irrevocable trust structures. And then hold on a second, is a Google phone number. Yeah, so long as you've got it tied to your business expense thing on the question for you, Beth, there regarding the Google phone. So you just got to make sure that you're isolating it. You're not using it for personal. You just want to keep a really good track of like everything being separate, never giving an opportunity to a litigator because they will pick. So you've just got to have really, really good records. That's why everything should be written. Everything should be separated, business from personal. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the irrevocable trust system. So you've got to be aware though, there are some states like in Florida, for example, where you cannot do self-serving creditor protection trust. What this means in like normal human speech is that if I open up a trust and I'm the beneficiary of the trust, even if it's irrevocable, I actually cannot do effective creditor protection for a Florida-based trust. I can't. Okay. It's not allowed under Florida law. So I have to go to other jurisdictions where it is permitted for me to set up a trust where I'm the creator of that trust, where I might be the beneficiary of that trust. I can't be the trustee of that trust. I'll talk about that later. But where me creating a trust for my own assets, me putting those assets into the trust will actually keep those away from potential creditors. That's where we're talking about Delaware Okay, there's a few other states that have those kinds of things. And then if you get to a really large level of assets, I'm talking 50 million and above, at that point, you start thinking about other nations that provide those level of services, but they get very, very, very expensive. Okay. So the key to having irrevocable trust that work to protect against, potential creditors at a bankruptcy, the ex-spouses, the Internal Revenue Service, that kind of thing, is giving up control. And that's difficult when you're a business owner and when you take into account that you're the one that built up all these assets, right? So it's a give and take. It's a weighted balance of how much do I want to be able to isolate these assets that I've built up from the creditors, because the more that I give up control, the more likely that they will really be effectively not counted as things that belong to me if I make a mistake. If I, have a bad driving day, if I end up hiring a contractor that built something poorly and now it's like fallen on top of a person, right? The big mistakes, the big expensive mistakes. So with irrevocable trusts, they're not all billed the same. They do get treated like a separate legal entity, so they'll have their own tax liability, and those taxes are high, which is why it's really not something to consider until you're in the eight-figure level to make it worthwhile for the expense. But I do believe that there will be ones of you there, right?
Oh,
And
yeah,
as that happens,
every single person in this group will be there, guaranteed.
right, every one of you that wants to do it and is focused on it will get there. So you have to know in advance what it is about irrevocable trust, right? You're giving up control. That trustee is going to be the one making the sole decisions on whether to give you anything out of the trust or not. You can't direct them. It can't be somebody related to you. The IRS will pierce right through that, even if it's irrevocable. So be mindful of that in the kind of like asset protection pyramid and how your processes go. But I hope this has helped you in organizing through like an eagle eye view of how the process runs.
No, I think this is great information. I mean, too much for folks to process. Natalia also has a YouTube channel. So if you can paste the link, Natalia, on this chat, I think people would love to follow
Yeah,
that.
let me see if I can pull that up real quick.
Yeah, and guys, we're posting other people up in the group. I mean, she's an attorney. She brings so much value. She's in the real estate world. And guys, this is what this is about. This is just us bringing more value to this community,
Right.
because that's what this
Welcome.
needs to be about.
Yep, so I'm gonna put it
So,
right here.
And for any of you guys that think that 50 million is hard to achieve, it's not that hard, you guys. I believe that once you guys are opened up and once you decide that you are going to defend everybody's money
Yes,
to
Graham.
your best ability, I'm telling you, it's not that far-fetched. It's
And certainly
truly
not with real estate. It's easy
not.
with real estate, yeah.
Yeah, it's not. And we just but our focus has to be is defending and protecting that money, and then defending and protecting our assets and so on and so forth, you guys. So this is just
Right.
one more layer that's added for you. So does anybody else have any questions for Natalia before she
Yeah, I'm gonna give it
Um,
5 minutes for questions and then I'll
before
head
she
out.
parts, you guys? So any questions that somebody has, let's ask them right now, you guys.
I think Giselle has one question. She asked if she has used personal credit card to use as a startup expense. How does she separate that out, or how does she segregate it now?
Yeah, so what you want to do is, as soon as you can, open up your own business card. Make sure that you've got, out of like the bookkeeping, use an individual like bookkeeping service for this, right? Have them go line item through the things that were the built up for the business, right? And get that properly accounted for, okay? Just don't keep using your own business card once you've got the business set up. Get that business card open as quickly as possible, line of credit, whatever it is that you're using, but get it done quickly, because remember, the period starts running forward. Okay,
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
the way we got in touch with Natalia was for one of the double closing sessions, and that's where we asked her, would you be able to come to one of our podcast evening, and she agreed to that one. And Natalia, I'm going to touch base with you if you would be available sometimes in future to talk a little bit about double closing, because folks here would love to know how to protect ourselves, when we are double closing, what things we could put in place. I know you're short of time today. So maybe sometimes in future you could join us again to show us
Throw some
about
heart emojis in that message, you guys, and tell Natalia, thank you guys. Natalia, we do appreciate you coming out.
Oh, absolutely. And just to give you guys a little bit of my background in terms of the real estate world, I was president of a title company for a decade. So that's why I have all that background in the real estate realm. Okay.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All
Really
right.
appreciate all the information, Natalia.
You're very
Look at all
welcome.
that love before you leave, Natalia. Thank you for stopping by and bringing up all this value for us in this community. As all of us are infants in, it makes a lot easier for us to get to the next stepping stone when individuals like you step outside of themselves and bring value to people that they don't even know. So from Big Picture Gators to you, we really do appreciate you taking the time and coming out.
No, it's my pleasure. And I hope to see all of you all grow and then make those side projects
Yeah, let's grow.
that are pushing you to be successful in your business. All right,
Thank you,
everyone.
Natalia.
Much.
Have a lovely evening.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care. Bye.
Okay.
All right, guys, how's everybody doing? Who has questions? You guys want to, where are you guys at? How can we help you guys today? Where are we at? Somebody just go, just give it to us.
Does anybody have a recommendation for insurance? Is anybody using an insurance company now that they would recommend?
Ooh, great question. Okay, so a little bit of what MJ and I are doing, just so everybody knows along those protection plans, we've ran into, I think, 3 or 4 different lawyers from I think 4 different states, and their prices, I mean, I think the lowest one I seen was like 1,500. The highest one we seen was 5,500, but that was like a us purchasing a business. And I'm telling you guys, like the lawyers that you guys are going to have to talk to you, and it's going to come. And once it comes, it's just going to be like, whoa, how 1 second. And this is what we're just trying to avoid right now. So, the quicker you guys get all these layers set up, all these foundations in place, the easier it's going to be for you guys to move, man. That's ultimately what it keeps coming down to. So, anyways, anybody has any questions? Anybody wants to open up the forum that they want to talk about, maybe a triumph that they had,
Yeah, I think Robin asked the question about insurance. I think that should answer. That's a reality check for everyone. I think most of us are operating it without insurance, right? So Robin, thanks for asking that question and kind of making people aware that, it's something people need to take going forward.
Can I jump in for a sec?
Go ahead, Christine.
To answer your question, Robin, I use the Hartford. It's based out of Los Angeles. It's for small businesses. I've only been with them for about 2 months. The company that I was with before ended up closing down. It was a part of the whole banking collapsing. So I can't vouch for them, but that's who I'm with now.
Thank you.
So Christine, does that also include errors and omission, workers' comp, and all those different kinds of insurance within the main insurance?
It does.
Christine, could you type the name on the chat, please?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
What Natalia shared with us was so important. I think that's something that some of us are starting our first business. So we're like, what do we do with our business? That was like one of the main questions that I had, like how, for the foundation of my business, like I know how to take action. Like, what do I need to do next on the Gator, like to start growing my business, but the foundations of protection, insurance, all these things is like, what do I do with those things? Like, where do I get the information? Who do I start talking to? And like today was just like, oh, there's a lot of things that I need to take care of to secure and protect my business, my money. And once I start growing and using other people's money, like I need to make sure that I'm protecting everyone. So like we are all like, not a big or a small mistake doesn't like jeopardize everything that we have.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Exactly. That's a good way to put that, Giselle. Thank you.
Any questions, anyone? Just in general, not specific to protection. I know this session was supposed to be for due diligence, but Natalia had to leave in 30 minutes, so we were not able to get to it, but I will see if I can bring her on again sometimes in future.
Yep. All right, guys. So you're telling me this whole week has went by and none of you guys have nothing to say? Like I've waited since last Friday to see each and every one of you guys, and none of you guys have nothing to say right now. Is that what you guys want me to believe?
Okay, I got something for you, Dayton.
All right, let's go.
So this topic keeps coming up, but I just can't seem to get a straight answer from anyone lately about the whole plastic situation. Melio, plastic, using your credit cards. I'm seeing on both of those websites that they don't allow you to use your credit cards for escrow. But yet some people have said they've been able to, others have said it got kicked back. So I'm curious what everyone's experience has been that has tried to use it.
I think that you have to find certain escrow companies, number one, that will allow you to proceed. And then I also know that you have to be aware of the verbiage that you use when you are trying to do these transactions, you know, as far as using credit cards. But
So do you mean the verbiage in the notes part when you're sending the transaction, or do you mean when you actually sign up
yeah,
with your account?
yeah, when you no, not with your account. So like when you're, you know, when they send you that letter and they're like, hey, this is how you wire the transaction or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in that portion is where you want to, you know, kind of be mindful of what you say and how you say it, because if there's going to be like a stop clause on the credit card, like whatever, and I'm sure you can read the terms whenever it comes up, like, hey, you know, 9 times out of 10, as long as it says like it's some type of purchase transaction and not like a money transaction where you're trying to take out 30,000 cash, if that makes sense. It's like you got to make sure that you defer the two, like from your credit, and then versus like, you know how like some credit cards you can take out like a $2,000 cash limit, or
Sure.
like one of my cards are like 25,000. Like I think you have to make a distinction between like taking the cash part out and then the credit part out, and then also, you know, figuring out which title companies, you know, are like, okay, in this area of Texas or Florida or California, they use these, so that's who I'm going to go with, and I'm going to focus on working with, you know, title or closing companies that already are familiar with them. And then you could also just be upfront with them too, and just be like, hey, this is what I got. Do you guys accept this? If not, then who is the one that does? Because as we know here at Big Picture Gators, we'll go through 1,000 no's just to get the one yes.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the escrow company I'm having a problem with. It's actually
The credit
plastic.
card?
It's the processing company,
Yeah.
Plastic and Melio.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
then you got to go figure, I think you need to go figure out what the terms stay and what are the different clauses between the two. And then once you can figure that out, I don't know, maybe we can find that question together for your specific credit card, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like if anyone on here has used it, you know,
Yeah,
has
guys,
anyone
chime in.
processed a card through them? Do you have anything to add?
If anybody has used it, please chime in, guys. this is what this is supposed to be about, an open forum where, you know, individuals can get value from each other. So.
No, okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
I think there's an answer in the chat.
Yeah, I'm trying to see it right now.
No, I
Greg,
think,
where are you, Greg? Why don't you just come up here, brother?
yeah, I think
Where is-
what Greg is saying is you basically create an invoice for your own company and then pay for it using the card. In that way, you get the money in your bank account. But again, to me, that will be counted as a taxable income, right? So
I've tried that. That didn't work.
I
Hey,
mean,
Robin, you try like adding yourself as a vendor and sending the money to yourself.
yeah, I think that
Yeah,
would
so
be-
I tried to send the money from my business credit card to like my business checking account.
Uh-huh.
And actually the business credit card I'm using is it's actually my notary business. So it's not being sent from my lending business to the lending business. It's being sent from my notary business. I have another business to my lending business. And because both of them were owned by me, it wouldn't allow me to do that. It kicked it back.
Yeah, but Robin, do you really want to do that? Because let's say if you created an invoice for your business number 2 from your business number 1, now your business number 2 has $30,000 of taxable income.
Right. No, I don't want to do that. But that was kind of my alternative thinking. If I couldn't process the card through plastic directly to escrow, because it's not escrow that's kicking it back, it's plastic that's kicking it back.
Yeah,
There that the company is saying that they don't allow those kinds of credit card transactions. And I didn't write on there, you know, like EMD or anything like that. I actually just in the notes section of the wire, when I was trying to do it, I just put what the escrow company told me to put. I put the name of the person, you know, who was purchasing the property with the borrower, and then the transaction number, their file number. That's all they wanted on there, and it still got kicked back. So I was just curious if anybody else has gotten one processed.
yeah. I personally have not processed anything through plastic.
Okay.
So Greg is saying Relay has worked for him just fine. So I don't know. That's a,
Elio is working, is that what he said?
he said Relay. Relay is
Oh, Relay. Well, yeah, well, Relay's a bank, so it would be coming straight from a bank, but how would you use your credit card through the bank?
makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, once you're successful, let the group know. So
I will. I'll figure it out.
yes.
Hey, Robin, we can probably ask people at the meetup tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a good idea. See if
Yeah.
anybody's got any suggestions. I did talk to Lance Reagan earlier today, and he said he had a transaction about a month ago, and his borrower actually processed the credit card 3 times. Like he had 3 different credit cards, I guess, that he was using. And he was able to process it, but he had to like send emails back and forth to plastic explaining what was happening. And I was like, okay, I mean, if you need something like within 24 hours, that might be a little bit difficult, you know? But that's a good idea, Elijah.
Yeah, because I'm having something coming up pretty soon about that, so I'd be interested.
Hello.
I don't want to run to Roblox.
Can
Yeah,
you
I
guys
hear-
hear me?
I remember there was one in the group who shared like he did that successfully. I'm trying to find his
Yeah, his name was
comment on the
His
group.
name was Tiger.
Tiger. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Robin, I have a question. So, when you went and you signed the contracts, was the contracts in your notary or was your contracts in your investment company? When you signed the contract for whatever deal that it is that you're going through, who
For the
was
borrower,
purchasing-
the contracts with the borrower, you mean, Dayton?
Yeah, so you know how they sent that paper for you to wire whatever it is they wire that for the escrow company, right?
Right,
Okay.
yes.
So that's one contract. So the actual contract for the purchase of the whatever asset that you bought, was it your notary company that was on that
No.
contract, or was it your
No,
credit?
it was
What-
my credit card, my business credit card. Yeah,
So
it was
from-
through the lending card.
Okay, and then when you tried to pay, was it your lending card that you try to pay with, or was it your notary company that you try to pay with?
No, it was the lending
Still the
card.
business card, correct?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now what you're telling me is you got two separate entities paying for one with no name on one. And so that's why it probably got kicked back, because you're trying to buy it under your investment company, but pay it with your notary company. That's two
No,
separate
no, no, no.
entities
You
making.
got it mixed up. Those are two different transactions. So I tried to send the money to escrow with
Okay.
my business credit card.
Okay,
Okay. And that's how it was all written on the documentation, was my business name. But when that got kicked back, what I did was I tried to use my notary credit
okay.
card to send it to my business bank account so that I could transfer the money out of my bank account, and then that got kicked back. Yeah,
okay.
sorry, that was a little confusing.
No, no worries. I was just trying to put the puzzles together. Elisha, why don't you and Robin try to head up that conversation in the group, whatever you guys are gonna do, and then try to bring that value back to us next week. I think everybody is dying to know, brother.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
We'll do that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Guys, so nobody else has anything else? Nobody wants to chime in?
Hey, Greg, are you here? I think Greg has done this already.
Yeah.
Maybe he can, if you are available to talk, maybe that would be something.
Jennifer, I see you, Jennifer.
Sorry, I'm have something in my mouth, but I guess, forgive me if this is like a repeat question, but I was wondering if all of you very successful Gators could tell us like how you initially got started, like the very first deal you did, like how did you make it happen? How did you like get there from 0 to like 20? You know, not like 0 to 1,000,000, but like 0 to like just the initial bump.
Jennifer, is this your first time here?
Well, I kept trying to come and I kept missing it. So kind of.
Okay, so no, that's a great question. But kind of what I want you to focus on, if you could, along with all the other Zooms that I want you to watch, so that way you can encompass everything that you're going to do. Please just take some time and go check out Big Picture Gator Group on YouTube.
I
because
know I've been there and I've already done like, so I haven't done like a Gator deal yet, but I've done like a connector kind of deal where, you know, I've
you got an
connected.
assignment fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So I've got 2 of those. Okay. So I did
Nice.
it, you know, and that's great because there's no money out of pocket and it's great, right? But you know, and so I've been calling title companies. I go on that Zoom all the time, like watching Jake Fillaret call the title companies, you know, and all that stuff. And so, I mean, I've done research and everything. It's just that I'm just wondering, like what are, like, is everyone's experience the same in getting started? I don't know. Maybe not.
I see what you're saying. You want to know what is the basis of where is everybody at, because you feel like you keep running into barriers and you don't know how to just get started. And I will tell you this, EMD, PML, bridge loans, gap loans, they are out there. They do exist. The EMDs are far and few and in between. Honestly, what you have to do is you have to become the apex predator on how, I mean, imagine an alligator in the swamp protecting all of its young and all of its eggs. It literally sits in its mouth, right? And the reason why I say you have to become that is because in this world that we live in this transactional lending and this Gator lending and this Big Picture Gator group, just this alone, like the only thing that you can do before you can even start any deal, and I'm telling you they exist, but the ultimate goal that you need to wrap your head around is protecting and defending that money with all costs, just like how any Gator would her young. I mean, there's when, yes, I am very in my infant stage in this transactional lending, MJ, I wouldn't say he is in this in such an infancy stage because he comes with his father-in-law who has 40 years of background in transactional lending, plus everything that MJ's brilliant mind has and can do and can operate. So, you know, the thing is when this is why I want to promote community, you guys. This question right here from Jennifer, because the more that we can bring value to each other, the faster each and every one of you guys can grow. Jennifer, this is why I open the floor. This is why we bring people, an attorney, mind you, who decided was like, hey, you know, MJ and Dayton are trying to buy this business in Florida. Oh, I'm going too much, but anyways, so we're trying to essentially buy this business in Florida, and then she found out about what we do, and now she wanted to bring value, and this is a reason, because this is why I asked who is in the dark and where are you folks at in your process, because I don't want you to feel like you're stuck. There's no reason why we have right now 45 people in here. There's no reason why any one of us should be stuck. This is why we have this accountability group. This is why we want to start another accountability group. So that way, when Jennifer comes to us next Monday, she's like, you know what? I went through these processes. I called the title companies. I even went on a couple wholesaler real estate Facebook pages. I decided to put myself in some creative finance pages and whatever have you, because you want to go boots on the ground. And I tell you what, guys, if I did not, and I tell you this with all sincerity in my heart, if I did not meet MJ, I would not be able to move and operate the way that I do so confidently, the way that we are, and then bring this value back to this group, which I hold. You guys, I hold this group like, I'm telling you, like, we go above and beyond trying to bring you guys the exact measures to get you over the obstacles a lot quicker, so that way you can get to the point where you want to be financially free. And Jennifer, I hope that in some cases I can help answer your question, because I'm telling you guys, the value that you have by being together, even in this small group, can be astronomical. We can get so many different questions asked and answered all in the same time. Like, we can continuously keep moving, you guys.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's very helpful, you know, but I'll tell you, you're right about the EMD. There's not a lot of opportunities, especially with title companies. They're like, you know, people already have their EMD when they come to us.
Yeah,
That's
I think,
most of the time.
yeah, I think the problem has been off late. So when I joined Gator back in, I think, January or February, it was around 2,800 members in the Gator group. Now we are close to 3,500, right? So every opportunity that's posted there, you will see 100 or maybe 200 comments. So you will have to go outside the box, think, you know, it's not just real estate where you can fund EMDs. There are other ways and means for you to go and find, you know, there are businesses that need money. There's a local grocery store at my place that needs money. So be creative. That one group is just not the source for you to find deals. If you're stuck at finding the deals. Right.
But guys, you know, real quick, don't get discouraged, because what we have here is very, very, very significant to what we can do. Like, even though they're far and in between, what you can do with transactional lending, and then learn, just use it as a base, a stepping stone to get you to the next point. That's all you need to focus on, and keep learning and learning and learning. And if you guys don't understand, like, everything that MJ and I bring to you guys is all about protection. It's all about defense.
Yeah.
Anybody can score a touchdown, you guys. Can you stop the other team from scoring your goal, essentially taking your money? And that's what it comes down. That's what it comes down to, you guys.
Yep. I think Giselle and Christine had question.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on, like, I think when we start with Gator, we come in with the mentality that it's just EMD. And then it's just like, Gator is like so wide and so broad. Like, EMD is just one part of the equation. Like, doing the referral fees, doing all these things where you're not using your own money and you're getting a chunk of the deal, that's a Gator transaction. Like, we need to start, like, I think, like, we need to not limit ourselves to just the lending my own money. Like, if I can bring other things to the table, we need to remember that if we bring other things to the table and we get a chunk of that, the assignment fee, the profit, whatever the other investor is making, that's a Gator deal. Like there are so many opportunities, so many things to do that it's like it all adds up to the Gator business that we are building. It's not just one transaction or one EMD or double closing or PML. Like there's so many other things. So don't get discouraged if you think like I'm not doing EMD funding, then I'm not doing Gator deals. No, no, no. You're doing more things. And like the other day I was talking with Dayton too, like the more you go in with attention to provide value to people, the more deals and leads are going to come to you naturally. Like you don't have to force anything. People are going to look for you when you go out there bringing value to them.
Guys, this is why I say that you are the table, you guys, because I've been in rooms where they don't even offer MJ and I a seat, you guys, and we just want to bring value. They don't even offer us a seat. So what do we have to do? We have to go, first of all, construct our own building and then build a table and then add seats and then put placements in and then, send out invitations, because I'm telling you guys, it is going to come so quick for you. You have to, the best way to learn how to make money is to find out how to not lose the money. That's it. MJ, I think we are way over our time, and I want to respect everybody's weekend, brother.
I think Christine
Oh,
had.
Yeah, let's do one last question, and then I kind of want to close.
I raised my hand on accident, so.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys, let's keep pushing, you guys. Let's get these polls answered. We're gonna get a poll out to you guys to see what you guys want to talk about. We'll see how we can bring value. I want each and every one of you guys to take action. If you guys are stagnant, if you're not moving, please reach out, come into the chat room. Feel free. There's no stupid questions. And the reason why I say this, do not let one stupid question stop you from the financial freedom quest that you are on, because there's nothing on this planet that should stop you from moving forward and taking one step every single day. And especially when you come here, you guys should be getting plugged in, powered up, and ready and fully charged, and not at the 1%. When you come here, is 100%, because this is where you get rid of your 9 to 5, and this is where you go after that financial freedom. Guys, thank you guys so much for being a part of this. Thank you guys so much for allowing us to come into your homes and bring value to you guys to communicate. Thank you for everything that you're doing, Robin. Great questions. Guys, please feel free in the future to please reach out. If you have questions, let's talk. Let's get everything out where it needs to be, so that way you can keep moving forward. And individuals like Jennifer who want to move forward and needs the baseline, she can get it, she can see it, she can achieve it. Guys, it's a can, it's a I will, and it's a must. Here at Big Picture Gator Group, growing Gators is a lifestyle. Guys, thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful weekend.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye, guys. Thank you guys so much. We do appreciate all the love and all everybody showing up. So thank you guys so much, guys.
Okay.
Where's the encore? Greg,
I
you're
think we
funny,
still
man.
have about. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.
All right, send us a